Clutch Sports Talk. Let's go.
Welcome in, everyone. Good morning. It's me, your boy Ryan Flowers, aka Clutch Sports Talk in the house. And welcome back. And I'm welcoming myself back to another edition of, NFL Sunday morning. Hey, it's week 13. I've been out the last 2 weeks. I was traveling. Then I got sick from traveling. But now I'm back, man. I'm still not 100%, but I'm feeling good enough where I can give you guys a decent show. So, hey, thanks for joining in. You guys are watching on YouTube right now. We got another great show in store for you guys today. I got to go over, recap my Week 13 power rankings, go over my predictions, and, of course, give you guys my clutch picks of the week. So, without further ado, I want you guys to sit back and relax and enjoy the show. This is Clutch Sports Talk, NFL Sunday morning with me, Ryan Flowers. Let's go. And I was on mute this whole time. So anyway, welcome in, everyone. Hope you guys are doing okay again. My name is Ryan Flowers. This is NFL Sunday morning. I've been out sick. I was traveling. My daughter, a couple weeks ago, we flew to Denver for some club soccer. It was really cold. As a result, I came back home to Las Vegas, Nevada, and I got sick. So it wasn't COVID, so almost had a scare there. But I'm not quite 100%, but I'm still better than I was the last couple weeks, so I am back giving you guys another great show. We got some people in the chat already. Good morning, Ben Cornett. You guys want to check him out? He's got a up and coming show on YouTube called The Ben Zone. He's a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, but they do also cover other NFL related topics. So you want to check that out, The Ben Zone. Or Ben, if you're still in, drop the name of your show. People can search you up on YouTube. Hey, what's up, Barry? My boy Barry from the All Even podcast. He's checking in. Yeah, he says, welcome back, man. Hey, I appreciate it. Still not 100%. Still a little winded. It's crazy what that flu will do to you, man. Especially when you get old like me, man. So I'm struggling trying to even talk. But I said, you know what? If Michael Jordan can play a full game, I can give you guys a 30-minute podcast or a live show, but I'm welcoming him back. So it feels like I missed so much. There's so much that I missed from, obviously, we still got the OBJ thing going on with him. Where's he going to go in Dallas? And then, of course, the Jerry Jones picture. And I guess I'll start with that this morning. Just real quick, because I know it's been rehashed again with LeBron bringing it up the other day. Here's my thoughts on it, right? So that picture was taken, I don't know what, in 1950 something. If I'm not mistaken, Jerry Jones was like 14 years old. It's in Arkansas. You got to know the demographics. How do I feel about it, especially as a Cowboys fan? It didn't bother me none, man. I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Am I going to judge him based on a picture when he was 14 growing up in the South? I mean, not really. I'm pretty sure if you guys found some pictures of me back in my heyday when I was younger, you might judge me as well. So I don't think I'm going to judge him quite so quickly. And this is what the problem is with society today. We're so quick to cancel people and judge things and kind of just blow everything out of proportion. And it's still a lot of the younger generation. And I've been on social media. I've been looking and been following some people. And the younger generation, they're so quick to be like, oh, we're done. And I always want to ask them this. And I don't, because I don't really feel like going back and forth on social media. Like, I got better things to do. But I would say, what teams do you follow? I'm pretty sure your owner probably might be low-key racist too. I mean, just to spit facts, these are older white men, okay? um, I'm pretty sure they grew up somewhere along the lines where racism was heavily involved in their environment at some point. Okay. Uh, do I think Jerry Jones is racist? I don't know him personally. Um, you know, and some people might say I might be cooning right now. If you don't know what that means, basically I'm selling out. But to be real with you, man, if I don't know if I don't know an individually personally, I can't make that assessment, man. I don't know him. Now I've had a chance to meet him a couple times when I used to work for the Cowboys way back when, but I don't know, man. I mean, realistically, he's done a lot. He's made a lot of black millionaires. Okay, all right. Now I get it. Maybe he hasn't hired a black head coach. He hasn't hired black coordinators. I think he's had one or two coordinators at one point. You can't just look at him. You got to look at the NFL overall. Okay, there's not that many black head coaches. There's not many black offensive, defensive coordinators throughout the whole National Football League. So the league does have a problem with that. I don't think it's just Jerry Jones, but back to the picture overall. I mean, that's an old picture. It's an old picture, man. So am I going to judge him on that? More than likely, I'm probably not. But then again, I'm come from a different school. I'm cut from a different cloth. Most of my friends are, my age. I'm 38. I'm giving you guys my age. I'm 38 years old. So I'm not part of this whole new cancel culture. And I think it's getting ridiculous now. And real quick, before I wrap this point up, I mean, listen, I was eating waffles the other day and I looked at the Aunt Jemima bottle. And it's not even Aunt Jemima no more. It's like Pearl Mills. I don't know what the hell it is. And I'm like, damn. I live in a country where I don't see Aunt Jemima on the syrup bottle anymore. But why? Because that offended people somehow. So that's where we're at this point. So society is soft. I'll be the first to say that. I feel bad for my children because they're growing up in a soft ass society where, you're being scrutinized on a picture that was taken of you unbeknowingly when you're 14 years old and you just happen to be in an area or kind of snooping around and see what's going on. And the picture, again, it was black African Americans being segregated into an elementary in Arkansas back in like the 50s or 60s, whatever the case may be. So, and then LeBron, and this is my beef with LeBron, and my boy Barry knows I really don't like LeBron anymore. Really, it's as far as a basketball player is concerned, it is what it is. But some of the things that he does, and it was so funny. Was watching that interview that he had, or press media conference that he had with the LA media the other day, and he was just like, I want to ask you guys something. And the way he spoke, seems like it was so, like it was groundbreaking news, and was like, dude, we've already moved off of that. Like, do we need to ask you what your thoughts are about the Jerry Jones? But we asked you about Kyrie. Well, yeah, why would they not ask you about Kyrie? You played with him, you threw him under the bus. Yeah, of course they're gonna ask you about that, dummy. So I don't think he's a bad guy. I think sometimes he's just ignorant and he doesn't know, and people around him, they're yes men. And so, we already know. It's all over the media. I mean, we know that he caps on a lot of things. So LeBron, man, please, before you start speaking, man, really get the facts and understand what you're talking about. Like I said, I don't think he's a bad guy, but he can be just a little bit misinformed more often than not. But overall, and I'm still going to be a Cowboys fan. That's not going to change. Just because our owner was taken in a picture back in the day when blacks were being segregated or being introduced into that's not going to change my fact. I'm still a Cowboys fan at the end of the day, because to me and those who are fans of your teams, it's more than just the game itself. It's more than just the game itself. Being a Cowboys fan or a Yankees fan or a Lakers fan or Celtics fan, it's a way of life. It's more of a lifestyle, right? You can't, I mean, the word fan is what short for a fanatic, right? So you're fanatic about certain things. And for me, being a Cowboys fan, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me, man. It's more of a lifestyle for me, and I will continue to always be a Cowboys fan, regardless of the situation. I would say I can't really foresee myself saying, you know what, I'm going to not watch the Cowboys because I think my owner may be a racist. If that's the case, some of you may not even do a lot of things anymore because your owner might be racist. Hell, you might work for a company that might be racist. It doesn't mean that you're going to stop going to work, right? Because you need that paycheck, right? Or you may stop buying or wearing articles of clothing or eating at a certain restaurant because you think something might be racist. At the end of the day, if we lived life by those rules, you wouldn't do damn nothing. So I ain't got time for that. So long story short, I'm not saying I'm letting Jerry Jones off the hook. I just really don't care at the end of the day. So that it is what it is. So, all right, moving on real quick. Before I get into my power rankings, I want to talk about OBJ as well and a couple other things too. And I didn't have slides for it today because I just wasn't feeling up to it. But OBJ, is he going to Dallas? Is he not? Listen, it'd be nice if we had him. Now, I've been reading a lot of social media people saying, well, why did the Cowboys give up Amari Cooper because of the money to get a aging, injury-plagued wide receiver in OBJ, which is, hey, listen, that's valid. I won't dispute that, but I will say Amari Cooper to me he's a good football player, but he's unmotivated. Okay, he's in Cleveland. Has he changed the way they operate there? Not really. OBJ, and let's trust me, I've been very, very adamant, and I've scrutinized this man up until last year towards the end of the season, where he really started to make a change for the Rams. Now, I get it. He's coming off a second knee injury. How is he going to perform? I don't know. But I will say OBJ is an iconic player, okay? His light burned brightly for a short period of time. He got injured. He comes back to L.A., helps them win a Super Bowl, even though he gets hurt in the Super Bowl, but he got the first touchdown in that Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken, and then the rest is history. The Cowboys have enough, I think, right now, just by looking at what they've been able to do the last couple of weeks since Dak's been back, to win it all. You got a great defense, something that we have not had since, the mid-90s. Those defenses were stacked. We have that again, right? Dak is playing pretty decent. We're running the football. CeeDee Lamb is starting to step up. We got our tight ends. Michael Gallup is still coming back from injury, or he's working himself back in, more games. The key to the Cowboys, to me, is going to boil down to Kellen Moore and the way he calls plays. That's as simple as that. Mike McCarthy, although I'm not a big fan of him as the head coach, but when I start looking around the rest of the league, he's actually not that bad compared to what's happening in Denver, what's happening in Arizona, things of that nature. People always talking about the Cowboys being in such a chaotic state, but realistically, that's how they operate, and they're comfortable being in that state. Denver, it's not working out with Russell Wilson. Arizona, it looks like Kyler Murray is not the guy that you want to give that money to, right? And everyone was calling, for Dak's head when he got his contract, but at least Dak had done something. Kyler Murray, really, what has he done, right? So at the end of the day, the Cowboys' success is going to boil down to Kellen Moore. And can he call a good game? Now, he was sensational against the Vikings, right? We've got the ball rolling against them. Obviously the week before we dropped that one to the Packers, but I think that was more so on defense, I think, a little bit. The offense did get going a little bit late. So there's a couple things there. But overall, the Cowboys are only going to go as far as the offensive coordinator will take them. I think at the end of the day. Now, if you add an OBJ, I think that's definitely going to help your offense, because now that's somebody else you got to account for. Now, it still remains to be seen. Is he the same guy? Probably not, but we'll have to wait and see. All right, the other thing I do want to talk about real quick, the Jets. Zach Wilson being benched for Mike White. There's reports now saying that Zach Wilson and his representation, they're probably going to be seeking what kind of a way out of New York, which rightfully so. Now, a couple weeks ago, Booger McFarland had made a statement about Zach Wilson being privileged, and so therefore he has a certain entitlement, because after their loss to Buffalo, where they didn't put up any offense, he was asked, and I'm paraphrasing, did the offense let the team down? And he was like, no. Whereas other players on the offense was like, yeah, we kind of did. And so on Monday night, I believe, Booger McFarland had got into it with Steve Young. Mind you, Steve Young did go to BYU, and where did Zach Wilson go? BYU. Now, I would have never thought I would say I would agree with Booger McFarland, because the guy to me sometimes can be a buffoon. But in this particular case, I think there is some merit to that. Zach Wilson comes from a privileged family, right? And what do we know mostly about privileged individuals? They feel entitled. Nothing is their fault. It's always someone else's fault, And he hasn't been playing well. And quite frankly, to me, he hasn't really shown a lot to where I think he can be the guy in New York. So the Jets are still have a conundrum because I don't think Mike White is the guy either. We've seen Mike White have flashes, right? But back to the Zach Wilson point. Now, again, I don't know the guy personally, but just based on facts and things that I do know from, I've met entitled people, I've met people who come from privileged and rich families. Nothing is their fault. And this is a prime example of Zach Wilson not taking ownership, especially after that Bills loss, where the defense literally didn't give up any touchdowns. They lost on a special teams play to end that game, right? And you're going to come out and say, you're good? Like, wasn't your fault? Well, it was your fault. And anyone watching that game of football, as a matter of fact, I was traveling back from Denver and I was watching that game on the plane and I was thinking, they didn't put up any points in the modern day National Football. And you get on that mic and that stage and you're going to say, nah, wasn't our fault, wasn't my fault. You're the quarterback of a professional team, man. When you win, you look good. It falls on you. When you lose, guess what? It also falls on the quarterback. And I don't think he understands that. And so I know people were coming to his defense, and Steve Young was like, oh, that has nothing to do with it. Like, come on, Steve Young. Let's be real, man. You played on really good teams. You won a Super Bowl. You know if the offense isn't going, if it's not clicking, who do they look to first? It's the quarterback. And for the fact that this guy did not take ownership, to me, it says a lot about his character, and that's somebody that I probably don't want being the leader of my football team by default. Because let's just be real, the quarterback is the leader of the team default. Whether they want to admit that or not, they are. And so the Jets, they do have a great defense. They do have some stellar offensive talent. You know, they found Garrett Wilson. I think he's a rookie from Ohio State, a wide receiver. Breece Hall, I know he got hurt, but they do have talent. Now, what do? Do you let Zach Wilson go after 2 years and then you try to find another quarterback? Who knows? If you're a Jets fan, you're kind of on pins and needles right now because realistically, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? But I know that Zach Wilson is not the guy. He is not the guy. He is not the future there in New York, and they got a problem. They got a problem, and hopefully they can figure that out because when you have a team that's ready to go, and the Jets are a good team, I would say. Their Coach Saleh, even though he's a defensive guy, somehow, some way, they were still able to find some offensive talent. We'll see how far they can go, but you definitely got to get that quarterback situation righted first before you do anything else. I mean, and that's just first and foremost. All right. With that said, in my mind, I think I'm caught up with what's been going on really around. So let's just jump right into the power rankings for week 13. So still got the Eagles number one. You can flip-flop, Eagles and Chiefs, I would say. I think they're 1A, 1B. But I'll keep the Eagles up there right where they are. But the Chiefs are right there. The Chiefs are right there. With Patrick Mahomes playing the way he is, their offense is still clicking on all cylinders. Now, they got a tough one tonight. I believe today they're heading to Cincinnati. The rematch of the AFC Conference Championship game last year. So that's going to be one I'm going to keep my eye on. But I definitely got to keep the Eagles at number one. I got the Chiefs at number two. The Bills hanging in there at three. They're weird because one day they're really, really looking good, and then the next day they look really, really like, oh man, like they have a lot of big question marks. So they're still highly dependent on Josh Allen. So for whatever reason, he goes down, they're pretty much done. I mean, they don't have anything else that would tell me, you know what, the backup could come in and do whatever he needs to do to win the game, where I feel like those, maybe the other teams like the Eagles, and maybe not even so much the Eagles, but the Chiefs, even the Cowboys, we've seen Cooper Rush come in and play and go undefeated. I believe did he go undefeated or did they lose while he was there? No, I think he went undefeated. But the Bills still at number three because when Josh Allen is there, they are dynamic. Still don't running game, but they're still good enough to beat a lot of teams in the National Football League. I got the Cowboys holding at 4. They're moving up. They've been down, they moved up. The way they're playing right now, it's pretty satisfying as a fan. The defense is clicking, of course. As a team, we're leading the league in sacks, which is something really, really good. Another stat that I'm really impressed with is third down conversions, right? This is a huge overlooked stat for teams that are trying to win a championship. Can your offense convert on third down? And the Cowboys have been doing that the last couple weeks, whereas before wasn't looking that good. And part of that is probably because they had Cooper Rush too. And no offense to him, but with Dak back, Tony Pollard emerging, Cowboys are looking pretty good right now, I will say. Number 5, we got the Miami Dolphins, also looking very potent as well on offense today. They got a big one too. They're here on the West Coast, playing the Niners later on today. That's going to be another game that I want to watch. Two really good, well-coached offensive teams. Mike McDaniel coming back home to where he coached with Kyle Shanahan on the Niners staff for so long. That's going to be a fun game. I mean, then I got the Bengals who, I thought I left them for dead when Jamar Chase got hurt. And I think he's coming back soon, within the week or next week or so. He'll be back soon. They lost the game, but you know what? They're hanging in there. They're hanging in there. They're a really good second half team. If you watch a lot of their games, which I have, they don't really play that well in the first half, but somehow, some way, they go back in the locker room, they make their adjustments, and this is a very good second half team. And their defense is a very solid unit,